Have you ever heard of a political giant? Someone who spent 6 decades shaping a nation's destiny, only to be pretty much completely erased from public memory? Well, today we're digging into the incredible story of a colossal figure from India's history and asking a pretty big question. How in the world did this happen?
And look, we're not talking about some minor historical footnote here. He's described as one of the most significant, one of the tallest leaders to ever come out of southern India. I mean, his influence was absolutely immense, his legacy profound.
So that brings us to the central mystery, right? If he was that important, why isn't his name a household name like so many of his contemporaries? How does a leader of this magnitude just kind of vanish from the history books?
To figure out why he was forgotten, we first got to understand who he really was. And at his heart, at his very core, Acharya Ranga was the conscience for a part of the country that was, and often still is, overlooked: rural India.
I mean, just take a look at his resume. This guy wasn't a one-trick pony. He was a freedom fighter, a parliamentarian for an incredible 6 decades. Can you even imagine? An economist, educated at Oxford, and on top of all that, he was the philosopher and champion for India's farmers?
And that right there, that was his life's work. While a lot of his peers were focused on big industry and urban development, Ranga's entire political life was dedicated to the peasant cause. He was that steady, unwavering voice for the dignity and rights of farmers.
Now, his career was packed with achievements, but it's one single dramatic event, a moment of deep betrayal, really, that ended up defining his entire political path and, you could argue, sealed his fate in our collective memory.
Just look at this. The difference between what almost happened and what actually did, it's just night and day. Ranga was on the very brink of becoming India's first ever president from a peasant background. But it wasn't meant to be. Internal party drama meant the office went to someone else. It was a massive turning point.
And here's the truly heartbreaking part. His downfall wasn't some grand scheme by his political enemies in Delhi. No, it was sabotage that came from inside his own home region, a coastal area called Divi Taluk. The betrayal was local, it was personal, and boy, did it cost him, and maybe the whole nation, dearly.
So, the fallout from that one moment? It was huge. It left this giant hole in politics that, according to the source material, has never really been filled. So what exactly did we lose when we lost Ranga's influence?
Well, Ranga had this mix of skills that's just so rare. Think about it. He had the political muscle and respect of a seasoned parliamentarian, the brains of a true scholar, a real, genuine connection with everyday people, and on top of all that, a level of class and decorum that everyone, even his opponents, respected.
Now, compare that to the political world we often see today, which the source describes as being full of mudslinging. It's a whole different world, isn't it? The game seems to have shifted away from that deep-rooted integrity that Ranga was all about to, well, something a lot messier.
Okay, so let's bring this into the present day. The source we're looking at makes a really interesting point. The key to reclaiming this lost legacy, to fixing this historical blind spot, lies right back where the whole mess started, his birthplace.
And this is the wild irony of it all. The one place that should be shouting his name from the rooftops, the proudest guardian of his memory, his own hometown, has instead been silent. It seems old local rivalries have been allowed to bury the name of its most important son.
But it's not all doom and gloom. The source actually lays out a roadmap to fix this. It's a clear 4-step plan for Divi Taluk to take back its heritage. Basically, get his philosophy into schools, build memorials, make political leaders own his legacy, and just build up a real sense of cultural pride in what he accomplished.
But this is bigger than just one town or one man's legacy. The source broadens the focus here, framing this whole mission to remember Ranga as a kind of national warning, a wake-up call for the future of democracy itself.
The source uses this really powerful term, reality mafias. So what does that mean? Well, think about these powerful corporate and political groups that come in waving the development flag, but what they're really doing is pushing for land grabs and industrial projects that often hurt local communities and agriculture.
And that is exactly why Ranga's principles are more important now than ever. There's this urgent need to get that balance back, to find leaders who actually understand agriculture and have the guts to stand up to these powerful interests.
So, in the end, this isn't just a history lesson. It's not about being nostalgic or simply correcting the record. As the source powerfully puts it, claiming his legacy, bringing it back into the light, it's a vital act of survival. The story of Acharya Ranga is just a chilling reminder of how fragile our collective memory can be. And it forces us to ask a really unsettling question. If a leader this important can be so completely forgotten, who else have we lost along the way?